the Seahawks have a big week ahead against the Minnesota Vikings. There is a big chance the Seahawks still have to win this NFC West. If they can keep pace with the Rams right now in the win-loss column, and then they face them the final week of the season and beat them, we're going to be the NFC West champs and in the playoffs. But it feels like everyone's starting to, give up on the Seahawks and think this season's over, and rightfully so for some reasons. You look at the situation the Seahawks are in. They have injuries at the running back position. The offensive line's not playing very well. The defense didn't look last week the way it looked previous weeks. And guys like Tariq Woolen, who we expect big seasons out of, is not playing very well at the cornerback position. And a lot of our big pieces are just underperforming, with exception of Jackson Smith-Njigba, who's pretty much became a breakout star this year. There's a lot of concern going into this week, but it doesn't necessarily mean we need to hit the panic button. There is good news. I know the Rams have a pretty easy schedule moving forward, or at least not as hard as the Seahawks do, playing the Packers last week, playing the Vikings, and playing the Rams later. The Rams get the Jets and the Cardinals. Now, can they lose? Absolutely. You never know. If Aaron Rodgers has a good game, the Rams could lose to them. You saw him and Devontae Adams kind of figure it out last week. And the Cardinals have been one of the most interesting teams. I think they're 7-7, and they were, for those 7 wins that they had, they looked like one of the best teams in football. And then the 7 losses they had, they just do not perform well at all and look not very good. But the Rams aren't guaranteed to win these games. We're not playing the Panthers or some team like that. So, yes, do the Seahawks probably want to win every game moving forward? Yes, you want to win 11 games, of course, and it'll make it a lot easier if you win the next 2 going to face the Rams in the final week. But if the Rams end up losing a game here or there in the next 2 weeks and we lose one of them and win one of them, we'll still be sitting in the position of potentially a winner to the playoffs last week of the season. Here's the deal. There is concern. Zach Charbonnet's hurt now. So is Kenneth Walker still. We don't know what's going on at the center position with Olusegun Oluwatumi being out last week or, leaving the game early and having a rookie out there at center. The Geno Smith injury, he's saying he's good to go Sunday and he's excited to play against the Vikings, but we're not 100% sure what that means. Who knows if that means he's 100% healthy, he's 50% healthy, he has mobility issues potentially because it was a knee injury. We're not certain what it's going to look like. It's going to be a tough game. The Vikings, not only do they have Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison, their offense has been pretty electric, even with Sam Darnold as a quarterback. He's made himself a guy that's probably going to get a 3-4 year contract and be a starting quarterback of a franchise for the next couple years. And having those receivers is a hard task to go against for the Seahawks defense, especially when someone like Tariq Woolen is not playing at the level we expected. Last week was a big showing for that. He got a lot of criticism online. He mentioned the criticism he's getting. Mike McDonald mentioned the fact that when he's locked in, he's great, but when he's not, players attack him and, they jump on him and check out his, try to test his speed, and he has a thinner body for a corner. He's one of those Richard Sherman prototypes that the Seahawks liked when they drafted him, a receiver turned corner. And when he's not locked in, his body's not the same as like a Justin Jefferson, right? When you have Justin Jefferson going at Tariq Woolen, there is a body mismatch. And it's been a struggle for Woolen when he's not fully locked in on his assignment. But the good news here is I think Tariq Woolen's going to come out and have a great game next week. I'm not worried about Witherspoon. I'm not worried about anybody else on the defense right now because, my main focus right now is stopping Addison and Jefferson. But I think Woolen has heard so much criticism. The coach even spoke about it. Woolen himself has spoken about the fact that, he hears the criticism online. I know for a fact that that's in his head, and he wants to come out this week, be totally locked in the last home game of the season, unless we win the division and make the playoffs, the last regular season home game, and he wants to prove a point. So I'm feeling good about the way that might show up, but it still brings all these question marks I'm talking about. The defense has not been what we expected when you look at a week like last week. There has been flashes where they look like an elite defense and Mike McDonald's system's working and these players are coming into their own. And then there's flashes of a lot of mistakes and things aren't right. And then we go back to the offense. Like I said, Geno Smith, we don't know what his status really is. Even if he says he's playing and he might actually do exactly what he's saying, play, but we don't know what that health means. And we know that he is hurt in some extent. He didn't come back into the game last week. So it's definitely a scary game going against a 12-2 Vikings team where Sam Darnold's playing almost MVP caliber football with these crazy good receivers, with a really good head coach, because they're a really good football team. And that we don't know what the home field's going to be like. You see the difference now. The Seahawks don't have a home field advantage. They're 3-5 at home. They have more Packer fans at the game than Seahawks fans. You had more Broncos fans, I feel like, at least in the lower decks, than Seahawks fans week 1. The Vikings know what a home field advantage is. You watch that Vikings game Monday night, the skull chants and the whiteout, and almost every single person's wearing that white shirt and the whiteout. That's a home field advantage. The Seahawks don't have it right now. So I don't know what to expect. I don't know what to expect from the home field advantage. I don't know what to expect from the offense. Running backs hurt. Geno's hurt. The defense, sometimes elite, sometimes not. But this is one of those games where I just am going to go into it right now with as much positive thoughts as I can. Because just as we know how dire these games are, how do or die the situation is in Seattle right now, where you're trying to win the division and make the playoffs, the players know it even more. They know it more than we do as fans. If we're feeling it, if we're feeling the pressure of, wow, we need to win 2 out of 3 or 3 out of 3 to make the playoffs, the players know it even more. And the coaching staff knows it even more than we do, even though we're so invested. So I feel like last week, embarrassing, bad game. Packers embarrassed us at home. The fan base embarrassed us at home. But sometimes it's the NFL. And you have bad games, you have bad weeks, you have bad showings, you have embarrassing showings. Your defense doesn't show up, your offense doesn't show up. You have great teams in the NFL like the Detroit Lions. Even though it was a good game, they still put up, they put up 40-something points, but their defense gave up 48, I think it was, and against the Bills. And their defense is decimated. Not much you can do. Just didn't show up right. And you got dominated by a better offense. And that's the reality of football sometimes. That doesn't mean we're cooked. That doesn't mean the season's over. That doesn't mean it's done. This is not working this year. Because we've seen that with this Seahawks fan base and this Seahawks season. It's a first-year head coach. There are learning curves. First-year offensive coordinator in the NFL, and Ryan Grubb. There has definitely been learning curves. There's definitely been flashes of being a really good defense and being a really good offense and being kind of an average offense that's not figuring it out. First year, we're at 8 wins. We have a chance to win 9, 10, or 11 games, or 8, obviously, if we lose all 3, but I don't think we're going to. The process is happening. They know how important this is. What's to say that they don't show up and show out like they did for a 4-week stretch? We've seen both sides. We've seen the 3-game winning streak, the 4-game winning streak. We've seen the 3-game losing streaks. We've seen it all. This team has the ability to be that team that's not very good for 3 weeks, but they also have the ability to show up, win big games, win them on the road even in Atlanta, different places, and also win them at home. You can come out of the season 4-5 at home. I feel a lot better than 3-6. It's not great either way, but they have a chance to show up and show out this week, prove that some of those bad games were flukes rather than showing the good games were flukes. And the players know this. The staff knows this. That's what they want to prove. Just like I mentioned about Tariq Woolen. They want to come out and prove that the bad games were flukes, not the good ones. And Tariq Woolen wants to do that. Geno Smith wants to do that. The offense, the defense, the coaching staff, the fan base. I know the fans, after all this criticism, there's going to be some season ticket holders that say, man, I can sell that lower deck ticket for $400, but everyone's talking about how they need to change policies and reconsider who's season ticket holders. Like, let me show up to the last home game of the year. Let me go support this team and see if we can get a win. I think that's possible. I think everyone's well aware of the situation, well aware of the home field situation, the playing situation, the playoff implications, and they might all show out. The players, the coaches, the fans. So I'm hoping I can come on here on Monday, whenever, or Sunday night, and talk about a resilient Seahawks team, a Seahawks team that found a way to win a game, found a way to fix their errors and go from an embarrassing performance on Sunday Night Football to a really, really high level, probably the biggest high level win of the season against a 12-2 Vikings team, and spoil their chances of winning their division and kind of, put it to another NFC team and make a statement. I mean, when you make a statement like that, if you beat a team like the Vikings at home, you're saying, hey, if you fall to that 5 seed because you're not a division winner, you might have to come back to Seattle in a couple weeks for a playoff game. You might have a better record. You might have had a better season, but you have to come back here, the place you lost, on the road, and try it again. So there's a lot that goes into this game. Statements, playoff implications, proving the fluke was the bad game, not the good game, and making that statement clear. I hope the Seahawks do it. I haven't been on here for a while. I got married recently. I've been busy. I'm back. I'll be posting very regularly again. So in the comments, let me know what video you want to see next. Congratulate me on my marriage, I guess, if you want. And I love y'all. Make sure you check out our Seattle on Tap podcast page. We're on there more often than I am on here. Seahawks podcasts. Check it out. Subscribe, like, show us support. I love y'all, and I'll see you next time. Hopefully Monday. Peace.